So last week, the NFL played its division championship games, and there was four of them: Chiefs, Patriots, Packers, Cardinals, Steelers, Broncos, and then Panthers, Seahawks. And I got to watch all of them, but the Patriots one. And I gotta say, those games were some of the best games of the year for me. They were all really close. They're all they all went down to the wire, especially Packers, Cardinals. But I'll get to that in a minute. I'm gonna rank them based on, I guess, like watchability rankings, or how I thought, like how the game was. And I'm going to start with the Chiefs-Patriots game. Obviously, the Patriots won 27-20 because they're facing the Broncos this week. But an interesting fact there is that they've reached their fifth straight AFC title game. So when I talk about this later, keep that in mind. Like, I'm going to read an article or do a podcast about how there's not really parity in the NFL anymore, and it's all that stuff. But I keep that in mind that this is their fifth straight AFC title game. I think it was amazing because Brady had 300 yards passing, like always. But they didn't really run the ball. They only had, their leading rusher had 16 yards rushing. That's really not that impressive. And overall, the Patriots only had 38 yards. I think that's a good thing for the Chiefs because the Chiefs have a really good defense. But that's also a really good thing for the Broncos because now we know, like, we have one of the best passing defenses. As long as we can hold the run, I think the Broncos can win that game. But I think this game was kind of, as I'm looking at the stat line here, well, not stat line, the scoring summary. After the first half, it was 14-6 going into halftime. And the Patriots kind of owned this game. I mean, in the third quarter, it came really close at 21-13. And then the Patriots scored two more times to get it to 27-13. And then the Chiefs obviously got the score with like a minute left in the game. But the real big thing here is Andy Reid messed up on the time management, and it's kind of why he'll never really win big games anymore. He's not really good with the clock management, and from what I understood, he decided to, in the hurry-up offense, they decided to do huddle a couple times instead of getting right up to the line and doing quick plays and stuff, which is what they should have been doing. But it was just kind of really messed up. I can't really comment on that part because I didn't really watch the game because I was busy with other stuff. So I guess Patriots are once again in the AFC Championship, and they're once again really, really good. So I'm going to move on to the Steelers-Broncos game because actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to move on to the Seahawks-Panthers. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. And this game was really, I guess, super impressive to me because I was watching it and I saw in the first, I think it was like 5 minutes, the Panthers were up 14-0, and then they didn't score for the rest of the first, and then at halftime they were up 31-0, and everyone wrote off the Seahawks, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, the Seahawks are kind of done. They're not going to win the game, but I almost guarantee they're going to make a comeback here. So, and I was right. They scored 24 unanswered in the second half, and the last one, if they would have scored it a lot quicker, they had 1:12 left in the game when they scored the last field goal to make it 24-31. They could have had an onside or a stop and still got the ball back to tie up the game. I think the Panthers kind of just got comfortable with their 31-0 lead and just kind of said, we're done. We got this game in the bag. And that's going to be something interesting to see next week in their game against the Cardinals when they take them on. Are they going to get out to a big lead against that good Cardinals defense, or how are they going to do that? And I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit here too as well. Moving on to Broncos-Steelers. First quarter was about tied even. It was 7-6 Steelers at the end. And, I mean, this game was really a field goal matchup the whole time until Peyton Manning led them down the field with C.J. Anderson run at the end of the fourth with 3 minutes left. and then basically sealed the game with the field goal with 53 seconds left too. So, I mean, I never really felt like it was out of hand because it was close the whole time, but I think the Broncos should have blew them out with the Steelers not having Antonio Brown, Big Ben not really healthy, and all that. And it's going to be really interesting next week to see if CJ Anderson can do what he did again against the Patriots or what's going to go on there. But still, with Big Ben not really having any real targets or anything, he still amassed 339 yards. And Martavius Bryant had 150 of those, so he's going to be a legitimate threat across from Antonio Brown for the near future. I mean, there's a lot of these. The Steelers are just stacked offensively. They got a lot of weapons, and if they would have had Antonio Brown, I think they would have easily won that game. But I guess we'll see what happens there. So, move on to the last game. It was the Packers and Cardinals, and I'm just going to start out by saying, I said this in my article this week too, are you kidding me, Aaron Rodgers? Are you serious? Are you even human, bro? He connected on okay, let me just take you through the last 4 minutes of the game here. Or, well, 3:45. Michael Floyd, 9-yard touchdown from Carson Palmer, 17-13 Cardinals. They take the lead. A field goal from the Cardinals, 20-13. Down by 7, Packers with 1:55 to go. On a 4th and, I think it was like 4th and 12 from their own, basically from Aaron Rodgers' end zone, he throws up a desperation heave and connects on it for about 60 yards to the other team's 50. And so, let me see who it was to here. It was to Jeff Janis, to the Arizona 36, for 60 yards. He threw it from his own end zone and got it to Jeff Janis for 60 yards. So they obviously went up. They huddled from there and went up, and they got a penalty, actually, as they threw it deep to Janis, and the penalty was illegal motion. So that moved them back a little bit. Arizona took a timeout so they can get it all set up for just get their players off the field, players on that they wanted. So that's nothing there. Then Aaron Rodgers tried to pass. It was incomplete. And then Arizona took another timeout with about 5 seconds to go just to get their defense on the field that they wanted. And so they had, to go against the Hail Mary, because Aaron Rodgers had a bunch of time. He was about to hike the Hail Mary since it was an incomplete pass. So Arizona took the timeout and said, no, we're going to prepare for this. They did do a good job. Aaron Rodgers threw a 41-yard bomb off his back foot while rolling to his left. It was the most awkward throw I've ever seen. I linked it in my article this week. And, of course, 2 defenders were in the end zone. It was like Patrick Peterson, and I couldn't tell you who the other guy was. And then Jeff Janis, 20 yards short of the end zone. He's on his own 20. Goes up, runs into the end zone, goes up at the perfect time, and catches the ball for a touchdown. Before I talk about the overtime, the Cardinals played that terribly. They should have had one guy running with him or staying with him, like in front of him kind of thing. But they had 2 guys in the back of the end zone, and so he had basically all the leverage. All he had to do was get to that spot before the ball got there, and he did. So it makes sense when you think about it, like why he caught it and why. It's kind of like the Lions thing. The guy was in front of the 2 defenders, so it's an obvious catch. So moving on to overtime, we had the coin flip debacle where the first time he threw the ref threw the coin and it didn't flip, and everyone was like, Aaron Rodgers and the captains were like, wait, it didn't flip it again. And so, and then the Cardinals were like, oh, we'll take the ball, we'll go this way, whatever. So they reflipped it, same result. Cardinals got the ball again, and this was the craziest play of the game, I think, outside that Hail Mary. Second craziest, I guess. Carson Palmer took the ball, and he was getting pressured, so he rolled out and stepped up in the pocket, did a lot of stuff to go to his right, and then he saw Larry Fitzgerald wide open on the left and just slung it over there. Fitz caught it like probably 5 yards past the line, and then he took off for 75 yards. He went 75 yards on the opening play of overtime. He got all the way down to the 5. he almost scored. He threw a nasty stiff arm at some dude, and he sent him to the ground. He wasn't even looking at the dude. He just threw it out there and got him, which I thought was impressive part about that run. So, first goal at the 5, Palmer tries to throw, doesn't work. And second and goal, who else but Larry Fitzgerald gets the ball here? He runs a little underneath all the, I guess it's more of an underneath screen behind all the linemen. A little shovel pass to him, and he walks in the end zone like it's nothing. And then that's the end of the game. I think that was impressive to do that and then follow it up with a good play like that. So the Cardinals have a lot of offensive weapons with John Brown and Fitzgerald and Michael Floyd. So it's going to be a good game. So we got the Patriots and Broncos as the AFC Championship and Cardinals-Panthers as the NFC. Since I just got done talking about Cardinals, I'm going to talk about Cardinals-Panthers here. We have two of the better quarterbacks in the league this year matching up against each other, and the first time that two Heismans have faced off in the NFC or in any championship game, in Cam Newton or Carson Palmer. I think this will be an interesting game. I don't know how the Panthers are going to defend all of the Cardinals' weapons with Fitzgerald and Floyd and John Brown, like I said. They only have one really good cornerback in Norman. They have some really good linebacking options, but I don't think that they can drop all of them down the field and cover Michael Floyd in them. It was kind of exploited last week with the Seahawks and their lack of receivers, I guess, outside of Baldwin and Lockett. And they kind of just started really getting on with those two guys and then a little bit more people. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there on defense. On offense, they're going to be the same kind of team. They're going to have Cam Newton run the read option, kind of throw it a lot. About anyone on the team can catch it. And the player to watch on this one would be Greg Olsen. Since Tyrann Mathieu's not there, they have no one to cover Greg Olsen. So I still got Cardinals winning it, even though it is in Carolina. I think Cardinals just have too many weapons for them to block, or for the Panthers to guard. So I'll take Cardinals all day in that one going to the playoffs. So moving on to the AFC Championship with Patriots Broncos. I don't really know who to pick here. I know Tom Brady has more touchdowns in Denver than Peyton Manning has, and the last time that these guys faced off, it was Brock Osweiler against Tom Brady, and Broncos won it. But Gronk also wasn't there. Edelman wasn't also there, and there was someone else that wasn't also there either. I still think, as much as I hate to say it, I think the Broncos will lose this game and the Patriots will win it, just because the running game is too inconsistent between Hillman and C.J. Anderson. If they get really good, Broncos have a shot, but I don't really see that happening. I think the Patriots did a really good job their first meeting of shutting down the Broncos' passing attack, and even with Manning back here, I don't see them doing a whole lot. I mean, looking at the stats from last game, Osweiler had 270, and C.J. Anderson had 113, and Emmanuel Sanders had 113. I don't really see that being a huge thing that's going to happen again. Tom Brady was held to 280 with 3 touchdowns, and which doesn't really surprise me. They also didn't have a run game again, so they only amassed 39 rushing yards. So I think whoever establishes the run quicker and better is going to win this game. And I think the Broncos will do that, but they just are not consistent enough on offense, to have a balanced offense and be able to be a balanced offense and control the tempo of the game and all that stuff. So I'd be really interested to watch that and see how that works out, I guess. So I think it's going to be Patriots Cardinals in the Super Bowl. There we go. So I think that's who it's going to go in there. Broncos have a better shot than the Panthers of winning, so lock that in. Patriots Cardinals. Patriots.